we just have a few questions for you.
Yeah.
I'll start with the first one. So kind of just give us a little background on what you do in the music industry and publicity industry.
Wow, what I do is kind of different every day. I'm a freelancer, so every day looks a little bit different. I do social media, publicity, and marketing for a variety of clients, anything from events to bands to movies to DVDs, and then I also help a friend of mine do merchandise on the road, and I've done a lot of mobile marketing tours, so going out on the road to help promote events. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
No, it does.
Every day is different.
Yeah.
What are like? Are there any differences to film and music publicity?
Not really, because in theory, it kind of all works the same. You're still trying to promote an idea and promote a vision and a product, but the approach is a little bit different. Music's definitely a lot more laid back. There's a lot less on the line, so I think the movie jobs are a lot more stressful, just because, but there's a lot more writing on it with the movie too. And on a bigger film, especially like a major motion picture, if they've got $100 million on the line and you've got to deliver everything in the first weekend, it's definitely a little bit more challenging than just an indie band that's got a record that might or might not make it in stores on Tuesday. So there's a little difference there.
That makes sense. So what, I know you kind of explained this to me before, but what different films have you worked on, and kind of what have you done?
Well, I was working on some mobile marketing campaigns for films, like Charlotte's Web I worked on for Walden Media, Amazing Grace I worked on for Bristol Bay, and Ratatouille I worked on for Pixar. And those were all mobile campaigns, so that was actually taking an event or an idea and actually taking it to where people are, instead of spending your money on advertising or on a banner ad or a Super Bowl ad. Why not make an event and actually bring it to the people firsthand? So those were a lot of fun. And then as far as publicity, like straight up publicity, like talking to media and social media campaigns, I worked on the Jonas Brothers 3D.
Really?
Don't be jealous.
It's funny.
I worked on some documentaries, a documentary called Expelled, a documentary called Lord Save Us from Your Followers, that's on Netflix now. It's a good watch. I recommend it.
I heard about it.
Some DVDs called from the Fixed Point Foundation that are apologetics debates that are pretty interesting. A movie about the life of Billy Graham called Billy. A bunch of different ones.
So when you
but those are mostly DVD campaigns.
Okay. When you do
and to save a life. God, I missed one
That's
last year.
When you do the mobile marketing campaigns, like, do you kind of create the campaign, like, or do you kind of just staff it or like oversee it? What do you do when you're out on the road?
On those, they were created by the film companies and some outside marketing agencies that actually do that. Like, all they do is event marketing type things. So I didn't actually create the Ratatouille experience, but I did stage management and crowd management, a little staffing for if we needed to hire hands to come in and help us build things or staff the booths. So I actually did a lot of stuff with that, but mostly stage management and road managing, making sure we could get from one place to the next with our whole experience, I guess. It was fun, but it was a long road. That was those 3 campaigns were back to back, so I basically lived out of a suitcase for over a year.
Wow.
So yeah. So a shower at home and my bed felt really good at the end of that.
I bet.
Very excited to get back after over a year.
Yeah, but it was fun.
It's really cool.
It's an experience. What can you say?
It's true.
Yeah.
So how did you get started on doing all this? Like, I mean, you were freelance. Did someone just hire you the first time and it kind of built from there? Or?
I normally answer that as that it was a mistake or I lost a bet. Those are my normal two answers. Honestly, I did an internship at a record label in college, and I never went to grad school. So I got a job at a record label and a recording studio my senior year in college, and I still haven't made it to grad school. I actually have an application to grad school somewhere here in my office, but I'm not.
That's so funny.
I haven't really finished it yet.
What record label did you intern at?
I interned at what was then Sparrow Records, which is now EMI Nashville.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So I got to seal envelopes and make promotional packages for Stephen Curtis Chapman for a summer. It was great.
Wow.
Cool. Back in the day.
What advice would you give an aspiring person that wants to get into like publicity, or like a writer, or?
Well, I think on any stuff. I mean, I'm always kind of interested in what music business and publicity and things programs in colleges actually teach, because for me, the biggest thing that I use every day, and the stuff that constantly the people I work with complain about, is that people don't know how to write. They don't know how to communicate. And so journalism and English, I can't express it enough. If you can't write a press release without it having errors in it, it's really not your cup of tea.
That's it. Yeah, we get that from our professors all the time.
Right.
We just talked about it today.
Yeah.
And it is true, and you will hear that all the time. And I actually get notes back from media outlets that are like, how are we supposed to respect what they're pitching if people don't know how to pitch it well?
Yeah.
So the biggest thing is, I guess my big things are always English. It's all about being able to write well. And when push comes to shove, this is an industry based on relationships a lot of times. So it's also based on, just being caring about the people that you work with and the media outlets that you're pitching, like actually paying attention to what they write about, and don't pitch them stuff that they're not going to like, I think is a big one. And also, the biggest thing I think with publicity, that why people drop out of it pretty quick, is that it's not personal. If an outlet doesn't like the music that you're pitching, or a radio station doesn't want to book an interview, it's not personal. They just are booked up, or it doesn't fit their format, or they've got a full slate right now. Somebody's on vacation. It's not personal, and I think that's a big thing that people kind of forget about with publicity a lot. They take it a little too personally.
Yeah.
Where it's fun, it's a chance to work on stuff that you love and pitch it to people that you like to be around. So I think it's a great job. But it's also based on relationship, and it's hard to get into, because without those it just takes a while to build relationships like that.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of who you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. But Rebecca, you got that when you were in Nashville this summer, right? The people that you get to meet when you're interning at a job just goes a really long way.
It does. Like this interview.
Yeah.
It does go a long way.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, I know we're kind of both looking to get into
Publicity in the music industry, and so it's really cool to hear it from someone that's doing it. It's really cool.
Shucks. But that's the nice thing though about these kind of jobs, is if you're passionate about music, what better way to kind of get to sit in it all day long? Right. And if you can find people that you like to work with and bands that you believe in, and if you have the freedom to pick and choose who you work with, because sometimes you're working at, a label or a management company, and you might not really like what you're working, or it might just not be a genre that you like. But if you can believe in the people and you can believe in what they're doing, it's a great fun job, got to admit. Every once in a while I have to pinch myself and go, I can't believe I'm getting paid to do this.
Yeah.
That's good.
I can't wait to, graduate and, start working. That's all I want to do.
Definitely excited for that as well.
Yeah.
All right, so another question. So, what advice would you give to an artist who might be looking to kind of do their own publicity? Like, say, someone who can't actually hire someone to come in and help. What would be some tips you would give them? Or whether it be, like, you know, a musician or a, you know, film producer or whatever.
Well, I would tell them that publicity is a worthy investment.
Yes.
I guess that, I mean, it's just about going out there and doing it. You know, if you've got a great story, I think a lot of kind of what I've come up with some specifically with some indie bands is that they haven't figured out their own story yet. And if you don't have a story, if you don't have an angle, if you're just, you know, a bunch of kids that met in college and you all work at Starbucks and you like to write music and you don't want to get a real job and you want to live in a van. I mean, there's no story there unless you're making exceptional music.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you need to find an angle or some sort of niche that's going to set you apart, and that's going to make your life a whole lot easier.
That's true.
And it's going to make you more interesting to a media outlet that might go, well, yeah, okay, so they don't have a big label behind them, or they don't have a lot of money, or they don't have a PR firm behind them. But look at what they're doing. They've got a great story. They've got something they're passionate about, and they make cool music. It's just going to set you apart. So I think the biggest thing is figuring out your story, figuring out why you're doing this in the first place. And I don't want a real job, and I just want to tour around is not a correct answer.
Yeah. Not a good enough story.
No.
Yeah, exactly. But everybody has a story. I think everybody's interesting. People just don't necessarily think of themselves as being interesting.
That's good. That's a good point.
There's just a story there somewhere.
Yeah.
Just might have
Figure
to
it
dig
out.
for it. Yeah.
Hopefully everyone has a story.
Yeah.
I think so.
Dig deep and find it. Alright, do you have any other questions?
I asked my questions.
Alright, one final question. So what are you do you have anything really cool you're working on coming up? Or what are you currently doing now that you're back home for a little bit?
Well, I just got off the road I was doing merchandising on a tour for a month, and so I'm honestly just trying to get through emails. I came home to 3,000 emails in my inbox.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to weed through that. I'm working on some kind of interesting things. I've got a couple indie bands that I just think are cool. There's a girl named JJ Heller who has a great little indie CD. She, last year, all of a sudden, one of her songs ended up on So You Think You Can Dance.
Wow.
She's a great little songwriter. A band called Future of Forestry that's based out of California, and they have a Christmas CD called Advent 2, available as of Tuesday on iTunes. My pitch. I'm working with a pastor out in California. He's got a thing called Everyman Ministries. It's actually really interesting. If you've seen in the Atlantic and Newsweek and all this stuff have had all these stories about how men are losing their footing in the world, and kind of women are taking over and men need to step it up. And he's got a ministry that's kind of really cool that's talking about that stuff. So that's kind of fun. That's coming up. And I'm working on a big writing project, so I might kind of step aside for a little bit and hide and try and write for a little bit. Well, plus at the end of the year, there's just not a whole lot going on. Mm-hmm. And especially if you're pitching to radio, that's all Christmas music. If you're pitching to online outlets, most of that's Christmas also. So if you're a publicist and you want to disappear for a little bit, November, December is a good time to do it.
Yeah. We'll take note of that.
Yeah, so that's kind of what's on the docket for right now. So we'll see. I could get a phone call for something really fun, and that cool.
That's cool. That's exciting. That's some good projects.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And and you guys are doing a great thing. I think this is really fun what you guys are doing with your social media project, this video thing. I mean, that's going to go a long way for you guys. Like, it's fun that you're tapping into technology and kind of getting this in your resume while you're going to school. It's very fun. So
this is a lot of fun, and we're learning so much from it.
Yeah, all the
videos. Oh, great.
It's really cool. So,
Awesome.
and thank you so much for doing this. This is
Oh, no problem.
Thank you very much.
I'm glad that you invited me. Thank you.
Yeah.